everything is sorted now, right? Like you have the SDK, you have 2G, 3G, you have backup eSign options with auto routing, you have multiple eSign options along with a cascade system in place. Great. So you finally try and you're confident now that this is going to work, right? But then you realize the flow is in English. Most e-sign flows are in English, right? And the customer feels alienated. And in many cases, even the field staff feel alienated by this flow. It seems unfamiliar to them. It's in a language they don't understand. And they switch to paper, right? This is a real issue. We take it for granted, but imagine if you had to do an e-sign flow in a language you didn't understand, right? A picture on screen, right? A simple e-sign interface, which if this was in English, a language you all understand, you would do this in probably less than a minute. Now it's not in a language, we've rendered it in Chinese, right? It's super hard to understand, right? You are not going to succeed in building a paperless process if your customers and field force experiences the flow like this. It's just not going to happen where they are actually just trying to memorize buttons rather than actually understanding the flow. And even data bears this out. Most rural Indians are not fluent in English, right? And even a lot of your field staff will not be comfortable in English. Yet many think that an e-sign flow will magically overturn a process that people on the ground are already used to. It really won't. What you need to ensure in the flow for it to actually work is complete vernacularization, right? Both the and document itself, which is obvious, and the interface that the eSign is happening on both need to be in vernacular, right? Like buttons, consent, next steps, they should also be in a vernacular language. So to do this, there is a slightly complex process in the backend, like how we would go about doing this, but it's very doable, right? So what you need to do in the backend and what lenders have done in the backend is prepare your documents in all languages that you need, right? So here we've used KFS as an example. Let's say for a KFS flow, prepare as many KFS as languages that your borrowers speak and keep this stored somewhere, right? Either in your LOS system or in your document execution system, right? Then have these templates configured to a specific eSign workflow corresponding to that language. This would be in your document execution platform, those workflows. So you either store the templates in your LOS or document execution platform, and you have a workflow configured in your eSign or document execution platform. Then on the front end, what you do is in your field device, you build a language select screen at the beginning of the journey, just like in an ATM, right? This screen, each button would be mapped to a specific execution workflow in the backend. So when a borrower, field officer offers the borrower a choice of language, when the borrower clicks on a language, the document execution workflow you have configured corresponding to that language actually rolls out on screen in front of them. It that workflow, remember, is tied to a document in that language, and that workflow, the interface will also be in that language, right? So every time the borrower, like you can ensure that whatever the language the borrower chooses, the entire e-sign process, including the document, is in the vernacular language. And I know this is a question many of you are asking, that this interface on screen right now, right? The entire interface and document in a vernacular language is a good to have. If you can switch to the next slide. But in your existing process, you collect, say, a vernacular declaration, that's fine. Like, why do this complex backend exercise? Other thing is that the RBI itself has been crystal clear on this in the past 5 years in almost all regulations that RBI has passed, especially those relevant to rural dominated loan products like gold, KFS circular, which applies to all rural lending products. The RBI has prescribed several mandatory vernacular requirements, and they've been very clear in these that the document and communications have to be in vernacular, right? There are multiple regulations with this. So these regulations explicitly do not permit that simple vernacular declaration that you collect. They actually need both the document and the interface around it in vernacular in order to complete.